Hey folks, welcome to another PatchFlip. Got a few of those going. There's quite a lot of new software out, and one of the latest things to come out is the Arturia Pigments version 6, which came out just after NAMM. Pigments is a really interesting machine. It first came out, I think, 2018. It was the Arturia's flagship software synthesizer that wasn't an emulation. It's their way of I guess it's their experimental audio playground. So it's not emulating anything specific. I mean, there are elements that are emulated, like filter types and whatnot, but the actual engines and the whole kind of instrument itself, it's a unique thing. So Pigment 6 brings a few more things to the party. First of all, we've got a new engine, which is called the Modal Engine. So it's a physical modeling. Got these four mapped to the macros. Very good for sort of physical strikes, and we've got a string type. This is actually only there's nothing going on in here. This is just a single oscillator of the Modal Engine. We could change to a beam or a string hit. Change the number of partials and the warp and the shape. It's a very interesting. Then we've also got transients. Got a great fundamental. Let's see if we've got some other. This is a wavetable and a modal. This is called Gravity Collapse. The thing about Pigments is it's capable of some really lovely sounds, and the thing that makes it also quite unique is across the middle here we've got this sort of assignment, so we can see how and what is modulating what. It's a very clever feature. So if I just wanted to add aftertouch to the filter, I'm just going to drag that up there. Now I've just done exactly that. Some of these instruments are going to be very familiar. What I'm doing is I'm actually flipping through the Pigment 6. There's 100 presets that comes with it. I've just favorited a bunch, so I'm just kind of flipping through them, and you'll be able to hear. They don't all utilize exactly Pigment 6 features, but where they are there, I will call them out. Here's another filter. We've got it's a cluster filter, which is a new filter type. Maybe if I go to, let me just bring in, I think I can do it here, can't I? I can just do a new preset. Let's just do that. We'll make this a cluster filter. I think I just do this. So cluster filter, we've got loads of different kinds. So let's take one of these. Now, add a few more peaks. I mean, maybe let's go for a basic waveforms. Let's just do an analog. And then we can, so let's just put an LFO on that spread. And maybe an LFO on the cutoff as well. Can I map it to that too? Yes. It sort of reminds me a little bit. It's like that filter that you get in the the Oscar, where you can move the peaks apart, but we can add multiple peaks, and there's loads of different sorts of this. There's peak 18. Let me see, peak bang part. And you know, when you're modulating between those peaks, you can get a kind of talking. That's exactly what we can get with these. So it's a really interesting filter type, and there's lots of different sorts in there. We'll flip through a few more presets. I really like this one. wheel brings in the effect send. You can see there over the send level. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag a bit of aftertouch. And these really like this. I don't think there's anything specifically 6 about it, but it's just, it's got an MS-20 filter type. Just really like that one anyway, there's no other reason. And there's another nice bass here. And this brings up another difference. There's in the classic filters, there's now analog and digital types. It's kind of hard to, and drive as well. So we can really bring the peck out of this. Really like this bass sound. Just bring it back to, it's just got a really nice effect sound, elastic band quality to it. This is back to the bells, which I've already had. This has got a comb filter, and we've got additional drive on the filter, which I think is a new thing. I have got a list of stuff. I mean, I think the thing that I find about this synthesizer, it's sort of it's beginning to be like one of those flagship software synths. I mean, I think it has been for a while now. I mean, it always used to be Massive and Serum, and this does all of those those things, but it just sort of feels like it's really taking its own place in those kind of flagship synths. Love this bass sound. Maybe bring that up in level a bit. Oh yeah, I like that. I mean, that's really radical. Let's see what this one is. This has got 2 elements. So this is a modal. So this is just the modal engine. There is some of the utility as well. It's quite subtle. Then the wavetable engine. I quite like it without the wavetable, to be honest. Let's go into those effects. I think. Oh, there's no reverb in this one by the looks of things. Oh, there is. Auxiliary. We'll switch that into between analog and digital models as well. There's a subtle tonal difference, but I think it depends what you put into it. Anyway, I like that one. This is one I've also played before, which is back to modal. Very space kung fu movie, isn't it? There's a sort of what looks like maybe a kung fu android type thing. Looks a bit cute, but actually it could be quite a sinister opponent. Let's see what's next. We've had that one. Hybrid. This brings another feature. This is that there's a new effect, which is there is a vocoder. which you can actually run from the external input or other. So we can have modern. So we can have the modulator. We can set the audio in. We can have the different engines or utility or filters as the modulators, which is kind of interesting. There's a few resets in here. I haven't got a mic set up to run it, actually, I'm afraid. I do apologise for that. This was quite nice as well. So let's just... Really useful to have this multi-band compressor, particularly on some of these vocoders and stuff. I'll come back to the synth here. Yeah, quite like that. Interesting sound. I believe there are some improvements in the granular engine as well in the sample, and I think you can scan through samples mid-playback for time-stretching atmospheres and randomised grain playback for each note. I'm not going to get deep into that. Quite a powerful... That's actually utilising the sequencer, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so we're going up here. Let's see what else we got. So again, it's another modal, which is good for plucks. Let's try it. Nice. There we go. There's the full wub. I think this is playing back doing some randomization of that sample. And then that's the utility engine, which I'm guessing is some kind of pitched noise. Oh no, it's an oscillator here. It's quite nice as a sine wave. Let's take that down now. Take that down to -12. Really nice low end on those sample transpositions. Lovely. Let's get another modal. Did I have a... got that slightly sort of 80s, like you might have heard it on a Tears for Fears record if they had this sound record available. What would it be? Dee-doo-doo-dee-doo. Not sure what the riff is, I can't play it. Another massive bass sound. Really kind of doing the wub, isn't it? I'm getting the wub for this. I don't know if there's a reference for Toulouse 2025. Not sure what that is, but again, we can see all of those very nicely, kind of clear the modulation going on. Very orchestral, isn't it? Again, this has got the, it's using the digital model filter. It's quite subtle, isn't it? Another massive wub. That's just one wavetable oscillator. Almost talks, doesn't it? See if we can tell the difference between those analog. Just a bit more corner on the analog, isn't there? And of course, we've got the ability to drive these filters now. That's immensely low end, amazing. I think that's flipped through all of the presets that I've chosen. I was suffice to say, I mean, I think the thing about Pigments is it's becoming a real, well, it's already become a really big player in the sort of flagship software synthesizer arsenal. And Arturia can throw a lot of their interesting ideas. I mean, obviously, when they're modeling other synths, they're sort of stuck with what that does. So I'm guessing, you know, this is where all of the coders and the DSP engineers get to throw their latest ideas. So we end up with sort of what is quite cutting edge synthesis, I think. So Pigments is available now, priced at introductory offer of €99, usually $199. For that price, I think it's pretty hard to argue. I mean, bearing in mind what we're getting here is kind of all the creme de la creme of the Arturia DSP programmers, all the ideas and the interesting things they put in here that they can't put in their emulations because they're tied to what those synthesizers, you know, do on the face of it. I mean, they will obviously add new features to that, but this is where they get to have a lot of fun. I mean, it's hard to argue against this instrument. It just comes with a whole bunch of patches. I think I've got a whole bunch of banks in here. 100 come with version 6, and you can buy more in the store, ranging from, you know, 10, 15 bucks. There are some really good patch designers in this, and there are also some really good patches. I mean, that's the thing with this, I suppose. Because it's a flagship synth, there are quite a lot of people who are making patches for it, but it's also quite easy to make your own. If you're a curious synthesist, it's hard to argue against buying something like this. I mean, it really is kind of cutting edge software synthesizer.